Hey everyone, this is Rachel with Songbird Crafts Inc., formerly Stamping Songbird. Today I'm going to put together this beautiful classic muscle car from Mindy Egan's recent release with Spellbinders. I'm only going to show you part of how I put it together because it is a lot of little pieces, as you can see there on my desk. So I just put my three main parts in front of me, and then I start to sponge the green one and the yellow one with some darker greens and yellows to give it a little bit of dimension and shadowing. I line up my three cars, and then I start to put the pieces on one at a time. So I start with the bigger pieces, and then I go on with the smaller detail pieces. So I measure first just to make sure that the seats that are part of this car look good behind that color, and then I start to glue them in place. After I get those seats in, then I move on to the grill, front grill of the cars, the tires, and then onto the decorations on the hood, and then all the little teeny tiny details. And everything that I use here is just basic cardstock. I tried to use 80-pound or 100-pound paper, so that it's got a little bit of sturdiness to it once it's all put together. So I like to measure also before I start putting any glue, just to make sure that I'm putting things into place. There are some grooves when you cut out these pieces using your embossing machine, your cutting machine, but sometimes it's hard to see the grooves, especially depending on the color that you pick of cardstock. So I try to put my pieces on top without any glue before I start to glue. Here you can see I already put the decorations on the hood of the cars, and then I'm moving on to the tiny details. All right, so here's a look at the cars already done. Here's the green muscle car. Ooh, love it. Here's the yellow muscle car. Really love that yellow, love that green. And then I decided to make one in black with some silver accents. They're all great cars. All right, so I'm going to take some of these cars that is part of the Muscle Car Classic Cars collection by Mindy Egan with Spellbinders to create 3 Father's Day cards. All right, let's get to it. So here's a little pouch where I keep a lot of my paper pieces already done. So I'm grabbing one of the parts that's in her collection, which is that speedometer. Then some of the stenciled backgrounds, which is also part of the collection. But the little roads there, I think they're from Lawn Fawn, or My Favorite Things. I can't remember which. I pull out all of the cards that I created. You can see there are 2 pickup trucks there that I did not show in the first part of this video. But I haven't decided which of these I am going to use for my Father's Day cards. And here is a 3D embossing folder from Spellbinders, which has a diamond pattern. I intend to use this in at least 2 of the cards. I start with a card base of 5 by 5, so just a little square, and then a square piece of red paper, which I've already passed through the embossing folder to create that diamond effect. And I'm going to adhere that using double-sided tape. And that red piece is only about 1/4 of an inch, maybe even less than that, smaller than the black base. Okay, normally I would use liquid glue, but because of the pattern and the grooves on the back, I wasn't sure if it would adhere properly, so I decided to just go with the double-sided tape. And it works just as well. You just have to be very precise because there isn't a lot of wiggle room. Once you put it down, that's it. Okay, once I know that's secure and in place, I am going to add the speedometer to the center of this card. And I think it goes perfectly well with that red diamond background. The front of the speedometer says, cruising by to say Happy Father's Day. Again, I used some of that double-sided tape, double-sided tape, and placed that in the center of the card. And I thought that it needed a little bit something extra, so I grabbed some of my enamel dots, looked to see what colors would work best. And I had two different options, this black, gray, and white set and this diamond set from Spellbinders, but I went with the black enamel dots. Can't remember where I got that set from, probably Hobby Lobby. And there's the finished card. Okay, so for the next two cards, I decide to eliminate the pickup trucks, and I'm just going to choose two of the muscle cars. So I grabbed the little road dies that I put together, I think from MFT or Lawn Fawn, I can't remember which, I'm so sorry. And I decided to double that up and see how that would look at the bottom of the base of this card. I think it would look really good. The blue can serve as the skyline, while the road is going to serve as a grounding for one of the cars. I tape those to one another, and then I measure and I cut with my scissors around to make sure that it fits the card, and I adhere it down. I grabbed that stenciled part and it looks so good in the background with that road in front of it that I think I'm just going to go for it. So I just glue that right in the middle and decide which car I'm going to pick, either the green or the yellow. Once I decide, I place some of that fun foam on the back, add some glue, and place the car right in the middle. I add the sentiment later on off camera. And there's my second Father's Day card. Very easy. Okay, so card number 3. I think I decide on the yellow car, but I grabbed these slimline dies from KS Crafts that have like this mountain range, and I wanted to create like a different background instead of using that stencil background, although it looks pretty cute there, but I think the car would cover most of the mountain part, so it didn't make sense to have it there. I decide on doing away with the stenciled part, and I'm just going to use the two pieces to create the mountain. So first I adhere my blue panel to the card base, make sure I have that ready to go. Make sure that my two pieces measure the correct width. And then I grab some of my Distress Oxide inks in Mowed Lawn, and I think Pine Needles. I think it's Pine Needles. And I just use that to give the mountains a little bit of dimension. Off screen, I added just a little bit more to some of the tops, just to add a little bit more of definition between the two pieces. In hindsight, I should have used two different colored cardstocks. Doesn't render very well on camera, but it looks fine in person. Once I'm satisfied, I glue the back of that, and then I adhere it to the blue panel on this A2 card base. I'm placing the taller of the two mountains a little further up, and then the shorter of the two towards the bottom. This one is the simplest of all three cards because there isn't any embossing on it. And it's a little plain compared to the others, but it still looks really great at the end. Excuse my head there in the way. Okay, that mountain range looks really nice. Okay, so now I'm going to do something crazy. I just decide that I don't want the whole car. I want the car to look like it's driving into the scene, so I chop off the back of it. I make sure that where I'm cutting it is in a good spot so that it's nice and straight and it's on the card, not sticking off the card, and that it still makes sense the way that it looks. All right, once I am satisfied, I put some glue on the back, and then I place that on the left bottom corner of the card. Now, as I'm looking at it now, as I'm doing this voiceover, it looks like it's floating over the mountains, but it's perfectly fine. It does its job. Okay, I add the sentiment off camera, and I'm going to show that to you next. So here's the first card, cruising by to say Happy Father's Day. Here's the second card. It's actually in the wrong order, but, and then here's the first card with the speedometer. I hope you enjoyed these and that they inspire you to make some cards for Father's Day using Mindy Egan's new collection of classic cards from Spellbinders. Here's a close-up of each of the cards. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Let me know what you want to see next. It really does help you to push my videos forward so more people can enjoy. Until next time, happy crafting. And remember, be the reason that someone smiles. Bye-bye.